Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm gonna talk about the season one finale of Ishura. Great season finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. This episode kind of feels more like an epilogue. I mean, I feel weird saying that, but like sometimes like the differences between like a series finale or a season finale, like and an epilogue, there does sometimes feel this neat difference because this is in the aftermath of everything. A lot of stuff got resolved last episode. We're kind of just picking up the pieces to everything because, yeah, a lot of characters we were following this season are dead. So one particular person we catch up with Lana, which is, that storyline's really sad because she's trying to run away and she's just kind of talking about like, right, we got out of the era of the true Demon King, but we're in a world surrounded by monsters because it's people like Nihilo or Kia who are alive. It's like there are so many Demon Kings basically running amok. It's like, what are we supposed to do in a world filled with monsters like this? Where is there any hope at all? Is there any way to stop it? And then we find out that Elia never had to really worry about killing Lana. She just had to wait enough time because it turns out she activated a life art and was poisoned her. Ever since that episode, they rescued her from the jail and Kia ended up killing Kagure. Like, ever since then, she's been slowly dying. Which I guess, but she couldn't really do much else because it's like, well, I guess I got to make sure she's dead before then. Like, that's an insurance policy. But because also that way she could kill Lana without it having to be around Kia. So it all worked out in her favor. I'm like, because when she was bringing it up last episode, oh no, I'm a professor, I wouldn't kill you. I'm like, no way. Because that's why I thought she did something in that moment. I didn't know it was that many episodes back. That was like episode, like 6 or 7, she planted that seed. So it's like, man. And obviously Kia's none the wiser. She still thinks Lana's still out there in the world, which is heartbreaking. But it's like, yeah, like her dying like that. And now it's heartbreaking too because you literally see the light go out of her eyes. And she dies like all alone like that. I mean, just like when you look at just like all the bodies she was walking by and then she dies. It's heartbreaking, and especially Kia being like, right, you're not mad with Lana for running off, are you? It's like, right, I hope that maybe we could come back to Lithia one day and you can apologize to her and you guys can make up. And she's like, yeah, I can do that, promise. And, she's thinking the entire time that she's like, no, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Even if I know whatever horrendous stuff I have to do, I will do it for the sake of preparing Kia to be my champion. Got to make sure no one, which now no one does. She's the only one alive that's aware of Kia being the world word. And the sad thing too is Kia's beating herself up because it's like, I'm invincible. I'm as powerful as I am. She feels a responsibility, believing she's the one person. I'm strong enough. I can do whatever. I can save lives, and I couldn't do anything in this situation. And just, all Ella's perspective on it is that it's like, that she's this powerful being, but she isn't just like an emotionless weapon. She does have feelings, and she is young and naive, and so they're gonna have to work on that. I don't know what Elia's plan is going to be in the long run. Are you gonna like numb her to everything, when it's all said and done? Because like, how do you turn her into the warrior that you want her to be? Like, what excuses are going to make behind this? Will she ever? She could go her entire life never knowing the truth about Lana, and I don't know. Who would be able to explain it to her? The only person that knows is Elia herself. So I don't see her telling her anytime soon. So I'm curious to see where that goes. So we have that storyline. We catch up with Yuno and Sojiro, where Yuno's like, right, are you okay with choosing me over going after Terran like Hidao would wanted you to? It's like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. I'm not going to like trip about regret because it's like Hidao was going to be the one who ends up. He was going to be the one to kind of put Sojiro forward. It's like, I'll be the one that sponsors you to enter the competition. And it's like, yeah, but Sojiro's like, I'll kind of go about things my own way. And it kind of leads into this whole conversation. The conversation had with Dekai, I keep forgetting. Yeah, that was last episode, about how him and Sojiro, and once again, powerful people, always have that perspective. She's like, I will never forgive people who are stronger, who act like nothing matters. It's like, for you, Sojiro, the only thing that it matters to you is you and your opponent, and nothing else matters outside of that. Which she's like, that's not, is that a bad thing? She's like, it's not good or bad, but it's just, it's a messed up way to look at things. The fact it matters, nothing matters to you. Like, all you make it seem like your way of going about life makes it seem like no other life matters, that nothing else in this world matters, and it's like that's not right. Like, even though she said there's no right and wrong, there is in her perspective. It's like it's because even if you were to take lives or whatever, at least if you valued lives, like saying like everything mattered and you had a reason for doing it. Whereas Sojiro was like, no, I'm doing it just to do it. I'm doing it because I like to fight, and outside of me and my opponent, there's nothing else that matters. Whereas everyone else, they fight whether it's for revenge, whether it's to protect someone they love. Like, they have reasons, meaning everything matters. Whereas like to someone like Sojiro and Dakai, it doesn't seem like it does. Maybe that's just a perspective of someone from the distant world. I mean, even Sojiro's like, yeah, maybe I'm kind of like that because like I was cast out of my world. Here I am in a world I don't really know. All I know is how to swing a sword, which is like, right, tell me about your world. Tell me more about the distant world. And I guess I'm curious if that's going to change her opinion on Sojiro, because she still wants him to participate in the tournament just because, I don't know, she got her revenge against Dakai because she blamed him first and foremost. So I don't know if that's alleviate any of like the blame she's taking towards herself. Like, I'm sure that's still there, but I don't know if that made her feel any better. I'm curious to see what her and Sojiro's relationship will be like going forward. Like, will she still like want him to enter the tournament just so that someone stronger can end up killing him or not? I don't know. So we'll see where things kind of go on that front. Speaking of Hidao, he doesn't have to worry about sponsoring Sojiro because he found his new champion, and that's Alice, which I even love that he's like, oh, Alice is like, I'm not interested in a Cold Star. At first I was like, he doesn't know about Kia, does he? I mean, he was flying high and about in the sky, but I'm like, you wouldn't be able to pinpoint everything that was happening in the city to know exactly that Kia was responsible. But for him, he found something. Maybe that's because the way Hidao made it sound like, right, everything has been a calculation from Alice. It's like, you went on display, you did all this, you were basically doing an audition to prove yourself to Horatia, how tough you are and strong you are going up against the Wyverns. Because as a Wyvern, they would have never let you, have gone out of their way to choose you. But now you're showing yourself and keeping your secret weapon to yourself. So Alice is presenting this to Hidao, and Hidao's like, yeah, sure, you'll be my champion for this championship, this fight of heroes. So that was kind of it. And even saying like, oh, I'll go against Hargent. So, which obviously be very befitting considering he wants to hunt down Wyverns. Which, speaking of Hargent, him and Hidao had that interesting conversation of, well, how many people actually died? He was there with the whole Regneji and Kurt situation. So, like, I think that weighs heavy on, but all these dead bodies, it's like, how many civilians died? It's like, those who were caught in the fire. But he's like, in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to a war, not as many as you would expect. So now they're going to spin the narrative of, well, this was a fight between Terran and the Wyvern. Terran and the Wyverns were going up against some soldiers from the Mage City, trying to make it seem like this was more of a Mage City thing rather than orchestrated by Horatia, even though Horatia had agents sent in here and there. So when it's all said and done, it's like Horatia will swoop in, act like it's like we're here to service Lithia, when in actuality we're here to placate everyone and make it seem like we're here to help, when in actuality we're here to swallow Lithia into Horatia. So, and it's almost kind of like was it all for naught type of situation. That's the complicated thing, and I guess that's something only the survivors can really determine when it's all said and done. Was it even worth it in the end? Even Shulk and Terran had that conversation last episode about that very conversation of, does she regret what she did or not? And even Hidao seeing Nihilo's body, thinking about what she wanted. It's like, right, they wanted it in, but she's dead and can't receive what she wants. It's like, right, she wanted to be amongst the minions, and it's like, the minions aren't that great, so it's not even really, it wouldn't have been worth it. Like, we aren't so great for you to want to be one of us either way. It's just, he did legitimately feel bad. I was curious, like, could she come back from it or not, but it doesn't seem like it. I mean, funny enough, the person who killed her is dead, so not like it really matters in the end, but, there's that. So, but, circling back, there was one final confrontation we had, and that was Kuze versus Terran, which they were kind of having the conversation where it's like, right, Kurt is dead, and I tried to save her, and there ended up being this interesting conversation once again about Terran doing all of this. he wanted to kind of understand her perspective on things. And it's like, why did you do what you did? And for her, it was just right. She thought she could bring about peace by handling things this way. Because it turns out, like, as the lines that Lana had about, oh, this world is filled with monsters, it turns out like that's what Horatio originally had, this plan of, yeah, let's kind of wipe out all the monsters, which we kind of get more into that a little bit. We get more on that at the end of the episode. But it's like, yeah, and Taryn was a part of those plans, and I guess she wanted to kind of, like, that's what this whole war was. That's what this originally stemmed from, was wiping out all the monsters in the world, like some of the heroes or characters we've met over the course of the show, some of which are alive, some of which are dead, wiping out those monsters. But Taryn says that she wishes for a true hero to pop up, because I think for Taryn, because she wanted to bring about a peace as, the self-proclaimed Demon King, there's also this perspective of, she recognizes, like, right, I'm a byproduct of the true Demon King's reign, because we've all lived in fear. That fear has kind of consumed. This is also kind of something Lana was getting at too, but that fear has consumed them, and even Taryn admits, like, I've been afraid. So how can I be the hero when I'm someone that, like, my actions and everything I've done has been a byproduct of fear from the true Demon King's reign. So Kuze is there to fulfill Kurt's wish, and that was like, can you save my mom? And so we get to see it, but Mystique obviously ends up killing Taryn, because all Taryn has to do is attack Kuze, and Mystique will immediately go into self-defense mode and kill her. So that's where that story beat ends there too. So you even have Kuze at the end helping that grave guy, like, dig up all these graves, and now it's like, right, if there is a hero out there, if that true hero does exist, could they have prevented all of that? Even Kuze's like, I'll go out there, and when the true hero appears, I'll ask him, like, could they have done something to stop all of this death? Like, because there's a lot of death. It might not have been as big as you would expect with a war, but it's like so many died. Because even the Gravedigger was like, yeah, at the end of the day, wyverns that died to protect this country that they were fighting for, even like the Mage City people or people from Lithia, like, none of that matters at the end of the day. They're just all dead. We're all dead people, and it didn't matter what side you were on. You're just sadly gone now. Which I should also go back to, like, really quickly with Taryn. She had brought up the point of, because he was like, right, did you bring the wyverns in so that they could coexist with the minions? And she's like, no, that wasn't my plan. I just needed the wyverns on my side to be defense for the city, so I needed Kurt. But then Kuze says, yeah, but it might have started that way. But it's like, no, she eventually grew to care for Kurt. Kurt was a means to an end, but eventually became someone that was important with her. So it's kind of nice. On some level, you're like, Reganeji is probably reunited with his original swarm, not just the ones he was mind controlling and, had it under his control that we've known over the course of the show. But, he's kind of reunited potentially with his swarm if there's some form of afterlife. Maybe Kurt is reunited with her parents, as well as Taryn, in some form of the afterlife. So there's some, depending on if there really is even one in this universe, an afterlife, So this is where all of these different story beats and everything finally culminate in that capacity. And then finally we have the ending of the episode, which takes place a year ago, where we have Joki looking for the hero, because it's like just after sometime after the Demon King has died. So it's like, right, we got to find the hero. Like, did they most likely die in the fight against the Demon King? Maybe. I'd actually forgot about this until they brought it up this episode, where, like, I forgot the dude's name, the dude in the armor that Joki is talking to. Was it Yuka, I believe his name was? He was like, oh yeah, I feel bad. I have to kill some of these rebellious people who are minions. It feels kind of weird. But then Joki was like, yeah, but some of the minion race served the true Demon King. He was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. But he's like, what I meant figurative speech was like, we did see like a couple episodes back, like there were zombies, and they were like, oh, that's the true Demon King's army. So were they just brought back to life in that situation? Or is that how they looked when they were serving the true Demon King? Like, did he, like, because I thought he just, like, resurrected dead people and were his armies. Like, maybe that's the case, or maybe he did just straight up have minions under, like, once again, we don't even know what the true Demon King looked like. We don't know what the hero looked like. I don't know if they'll ever really cover, like, maybe it'll always be such an ethereal thing of, yeah, like, because that's what the true Demon King was. It's a reign of fear, and that's all you really need to know from it. You don't need to get specifics. I mean, maybe the light novel has kind of covered that, and I'm just not aware. Maybe that's something that's kind of covered later on in the story. I don't know. I'm just curious if that's something they just keep, not ambiguous, but visually ambiguous by telling you all this stuff but never showing you. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's always meant to be this ethereal thing that we never actually get to see, type of thing. But either way, the Queen of Eurasia shows up, and we see that she's extremely young, and she doesn't actually participate in any of the politics and stuff. And lo and behold, who's by her side? Elia, which it feels obviously very reflective of Elia getting close to Kia. So it's like, oh, that's kind of been part of your repertoire, like, before even Kia. I mean, I guess that also plays into why she was so good at getting along with Kia and as well as the kids of her village, simply because it's like, well, I've done this before. I thought was kind of an interesting discovery was it was specifically the Queen of Eurasia who came up with the whole tournament. It's like, oh, we can't find the real hero? Well, if we can't find them, let's make one. We'll gather up everyone in the tournament. We'll get all these, like, heroes. And, like, obviously, if the true hero hasn't stepped forward in all this time, even with this tournament going on, the true hero never would. So we can sell the story of, like, yeah, this is our true hero. They can take up the mantle. And, yeah, that way they can have, like, this figurehead that kind of cement, I guess, Eurasia even more. And you even had Joki as he was walking away talking about, like, right, he'll get rid of the monsters in this world some shape or form. So I guess that's where we kind of get into the whole plan that that Terran was a part of as well. It's just the notion of, let's wipe out all these monsters. We're going to use this tournament as a means. Well, no, because I'm conflating it. The tournament's its own thing. I guess Terran's war ended up being a slight byproduct of the original plan of let's gather up all the monsters and wipe them out from this world. So I think I keep conflating the tournament, making it seem like those were the same thing, but they weren't. I think those were two separate plans. So that's where we kind of end things off of, kind of getting that little flashback. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the future holds for us. I think I Googled it before I started this recording. It just came out today that the show is getting a second season. In fact, season 2 they started production, I think, or at least announced going into production for season 2. So I figured there was, like, a lot more story to tell, but I wasn't sure in conjunction with, like, the light novel, like, where are we, like, a fourth of the way through the story? Because, like I said, I believe the light novel is still ongoing, but, so I don't know where we are storyline wise. Like, we've only, like, got the tip of the iceberg, because there is, like, a large list of characters I've seen, like, names of. I don't know who they are. I don't know anything about them, but I've seen their names of characters who haven't popped up in the anime. So it's going to be really interesting to see, what as these, like, our core characters as we get at the end of the episode. Sojiro, Kia, Alice, and Mystique, which I think is so interesting. It's Mystique and not Kuze, but it's understandable. So we've got two monsters with, like, I mean, they're all classified as monsters, but specifically, like, Sojiro and Alice are, like, in a very specific monster class, and then Kia and Mystique are in another. So it's like, what's that going to be like? And what's these other characters? Could you also see some of those other characters in the opening and even in the end credits? You see them throughout, like, characters we haven't been introduced to yet that we will eventually get introduced to. But I'm very excited. I'm so glad to hear that the show's getting a second season, because obviously there's still so much story to tell. I'm interested to see how this plays out. It's also a reminder, don't get too attached to any character, because anyone can get got at any moment in time, especially with some of these monsters out there. Like, just these very powerful characters like a Mystique or a Kia who could, I mean, once again, like, we don't know the limitations of, like, how does, like, a Sojiro or Alice beat either of them? What other characters are out there that could, beat them as well? So there's a lot on that front. So, but yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.